Have there been studies on 5G safety? What did they say? Is 5G definitely a health risk or is more research still needed?
Well, here's what we know. 5G is going to use the wireless frequencies that are in place right now for 4G that were used in 2G and 3G. And they have been proven to cause biological effects such as impacts, increased cancer, oxidative stress, immune dysfunction, altered brain development, damaged reproduction, sleep changes. All of those effects have been demonstrated in many, many studies. So 5G is just going to mean more radio frequency radiation. Plus, they're going to use higher frequencies, which we have studies showing impacts, biological impacts as well. So many scientists consider it proven that 5G will have an impact on our bodies, to insects, plants, and to the environment.
How many studies have been done on the dangers of cell phones and wireless radiation? What did the studies say?
Well, there have been hundreds of studies, thousands of studies actually. There was a report in the Lancet on impacts to health and the environment where they documented over 2,000 studies. And actually, there's even more than that if you look at what different governments around the world, not just the United States, but Russia, China, Europe, and in fact, South American countries as well. Many scientists, hundreds of scientists, are calling to halt 5G because of the body of scientific research that exists right now.
So why do you say we've captured agencies in charge of the cell phone industry?
There's a Harvard report called Captured Agency by Norm Alster. That's from 2015. And what he did is look at the federal agencies that have authority on the issue of cell towers, cell phones, 5G, the building of all of these quote unquote small cells, and found that the leadership of the Federal Communications Commission are actually former Verizon and industry insiders, CEOs of the wireless industry, for example. So that the FCC is actually streamlining and putting forward rules and regulations that basically open the red carpet to the building of more wireless facilities. And it's resulting in cell towers that are called small cells, shorter cell towers with wireless antennas, being built right in our front yards, put in front of homes. If you live in an apartment building, you might wake up to one right in front of your bedroom window or your living room window where you spend time, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet from your house. So you're actually getting high intensity, high levels of wireless radiation all the time, no matter what you do, whether you use a cell phone or not. If you're a baby who doesn't use a cell phone, you can be exposed day and night with no ability to reduce that radiation without extensive work. I mean, sometimes you have to move. You can hire a building biologist to help reduce the levels, but ultimately, it's really involuntary exposure.
What is Environmental Health Trust and what is the status of their lawsuit against the FCC?
So, Environmental Health Trust is a scientific think tank, and we have been working for over a decade on preventable environmental health risks. So everything from air pollution, plastics, pesticides, and our current focus is on wireless, cell phones, wireless, and 5G. Now, we decided to engage in a historic lawsuit against the Federal Communications Commission over a year ago now. And we did that because the FCC issued a determination that they did not have to update their 1996 limits on cell phone, wireless, cell tower radiation. Those are the human exposure limits that we have in place in the United States. So they are from 1996 and they are based on science 10 years prior and even prior to that. So this is decades old science that's being used. They never looked at what would the impacts to children and the developing brain be? They didn't even consider long-term exposure because, of course, we didn't have those studies then. In 1996, did we have Wi-Fi? I mean, we had like dial-up connect. Did we even have wireless and internet as we know it? There were not smartphones. There wasn't smart this and smart that. So these limits are inadequate to protect humans, human health. Not only that, but these limits don't even address and were never even designed to protect birds, bees, insects, wildlife. And there is an extensive and growing body of research showing impacts to trees, to injury to trees from cell towers, showing insects, their behaviors impacted. There's a higher absorption into their body from the higher frequencies. And birds, the Department of the Interior actually wrote a letter stating that FCC limits were outdated and inadequate to protect birds and the environment. So we don't have limits that were ever designed to protect the environment, yet we're increasing with hundreds of thousands of new cell towers for 5G, this type of radiation. So what our lawsuit is saying is that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, has ignored the research which was on the record. In fact, Environmental Health Trust submitted, along with many other experts and people across the United States and the world, hundreds and hundreds, in fact, over 1,000 submissions have been calling for the FCC to update their limits, to have it reflect the latest science, and to consider the environment. The FCC didn't do that. So we filed our lawsuit along with other petitioners. There are 14 petitioners in the case, and we are calling for them to basically follow the law, because the laws that we have in place would state that you need to look at the full record and address all of the comments that were before you, and they did not. They are saying that sister agencies, they're making the I'll summarize kind of what they say in their legal proceedings, but that what they're doing is in line with sister agencies in the U.S. And we are contending that, in fact, there has been no U.S. federal agency that has looked at all of the science. So, for example, they cite the FDA, but what about the Environmental Protection Agency? The Environmental Protection Agency did not submit anything about the safety or the adequacy of the limits in regards to our U.S. limits. So that's happening now. We had oral arguments on the 25th of January. The judges clearly read our briefs. They asked very pointed questions of the FCC, and we await their decision.